Hello, everyone. I'm Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston Publications. And today, I'm glad to be joined by someone who I always enjoy interviewing and haven't talked to him in a while, Jake Johnson, the president and CEO of the Johnson Consulting Group and Performance Tracker Software out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Jake will be doing a webinar with us here at Kates-Boylston on Thursday, February 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, titled How to Enhance Your Customer Experience and the Value It Brings to Your Organization. And Jake, we already have a lot of people signed up for that, close to 100 already, a month out. So, yes. All right, Jake, thanks for joining us. And let's start with a simple question, but an important one. What is customer service?
Absolutely. So I'm going to break it down in my presentation to customer services, the satisfaction or the customer satisfaction that we're striving towards. It equals the perception that the customer has of what you're delivering minus the expectation of what they had. So the perception of what you delivered minus the expectation they had is customer satisfaction. Customer service is obviously all the things that we do along that customer journey to make them satisfied. And in a world where, you know, if you're not already putting your prices online, you're probably about to be forced to put your prices online. And, you know, commoditization in the funeral business, you know, how do we differentiate ourselves? So it's a very important topic, really, especially in a service-related business, so personal as funeral service.
And do some take that customer service for granted?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we all think that you know, we live in our bubble and we're very busy. We don't overstaff ourselves. In fact, we're probably short-staffed the way, you know, again, things are going on in our profession. And so, you know, we assume that, which is a bad thing, you know what assuming does, and the acronym uses that, but, you know, and so, you know, we take it for granted that we're delivering it well. And then, quite frankly, some of us get a little offended when people don't think we've done a good job, even though we feel like we've done a good job, and we probably did. But again, it goes back to that formula, satisfaction equaling perception minus expectation. So what you delivered was probably, you know, let's say their perception was accurate, but if their expectation was something different, then it was a bad customer experience. And that's unfortunate because you might have delivered well. So it's all about knowing what is their expectation, and, you know, and are we exceeding that by delivering over and above what is over and above what they already expect you to be doing. They wouldn't have come to you if they thought you delivered bad customer service. So when something breaks down, you know, that's what we got to solve.
Yeah, and that leads into my next question. Have you heard customer service horror stories from clients?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's an easy one to answer because it's such a personal thing we do at funeral homes that any bad experience by a customer is major. So, you know, just things go bad. And you know, for mine, it was managing one of the cemeteries in my past, and one of the straps broke as we were lowering a casket down, and we managed it, but the family was involved and everybody was holding it. And then, you know, for those that have to go to mediation for that kind of stuff, it's an unpleasant experience. But, you know, it's for the learning lesson for us there was strap integrity, you know, monitoring our straps, checking. And the other thing, quite frankly, was making sure that the customer, in that particular case, doesn't step in right away while we're trying to do our job, because it actually made it worse, believe it or not. So,
right. All right, let's change a little bit. And why should an incentive compensation plan be considered? And that's also known as an ICP plan? You
got it. So I would say there's people have mixed feelings on ICP plans. I personally like having an incentive compensation plan. I use one in my funeral business, and if they're done well, the staff understands it. It's, you know, you keep it simple but easy to understand, and that it aligns with the objectives that everybody should, you know, understand and agree is a noble thing that's good for the customer and good for the business. And so incentive compensation plans are a better way, instead of an owner, when I go to an owner and say, well, tell me about your bonus plan. And they say, well, I mean, the end of the year comes, it's the holidays, and I have extra cash, you know. So an ICP plan structures that. And quite frankly, because we have our ups and downs in business, it it compensates for that so that you're not overcompensating in a quarter where you had a high year and then you have no money, or a high quarter and then you have a low quarter. So it levels that out. It uses metrics like customer satisfaction from surveying, sales average, receivables. That's kind of the three-legged stool. So it's what gets measured gets done. And if you put something like that together, you can really put something that's more meaningful within your organization.
All right. And what does it mean to have a customer service culture?
Yeah. So, we would all say, well, as a team, we deliver good customer service. The fact is that I will say it this way, that each person that comes into an organization comes from a different culture. I don't mean that they came from another funeral home and what their customer culture is. I mean that they came from their family that had perceptions of value, and as they moved away from their family, they created their own new perception of value. Everybody has their different perceptions of value and what satisfaction means to them. And keep remembering that satisfaction equals the customer's perception of what they're getting minus the expectation that they had. How do we set what the expectation should be to understand how each customer thinks? And that involves all of us understanding how each of us think, and we all think differently. So it's about observing our individual life experiences, talking about it, and then aligning what that experience needs to be. We can have our own perception of what value is, but the funeral home as a living entity has its perception of what value is for the customer. And we can acknowledge our differences, but we need to be aligned on what the business is going to deliver. So doing that is creating a customer culture, customer service culture. And there's a whole program that we do actually to get the company doing that, and then talking about it on a weekly basis, not even just internally, but just what they experience on the outside, so that we're living and breathing customer service and how we observe it within our own organization, but outside in our normal lives.
Right. And why would surveying be so important?
Yeah, I go back to what gets measured gets done. If we're not surveying, all we're doing is guessing that we're delivering at that high level. The way for us to understand the level of customer satisfaction is to actually ask the customer what their expectation was and what their perceived value was after we delivered the service. And so then if you do it correctly, we create an overall performance satisfaction score out of 1,000. We use Net Promoter Score; it's very popular. We use both of those actually. And if you do it correctly and you do it enough times, like we do, it's very clear without ever visiting a funeral business whether they're doing well or not, or who needs help and what have you. And you can use those results then to sit down as a team and say, okay, why did this fail? And then you go through a customer journey process roadmap, which I think is very important. So from the first call all the way to the pre-need follow-up, what are the handoffs? Are they cold handoffs, or are they warm handoffs where the family feels like they never had to get reacquainted with somebody within the organization? So all those are very important.
Exactly. And how does that impact the cash flow and the value?
Very much. So I always say, and with today's multiples and values of funeral businesses, it's more than $20,000 a call. But the way I look at it is, if your arranger came over to you and said, I met with this family and we finished the service, but they didn't pay me, and it was a $20,000 service, or the arranger just stole $20,000. You probably either way, one way they're getting fired, and the other way they're going to jail. So what's interesting is, we don't look at it that way when a customer is dissatisfied. We can have our perceptions of what went wrong, but there's a whole thing that I use where I say, it's something we have to come to grips with, and that sometimes it's not our fault, but it's still our problem. And if we want that family to come back, which represents 20,000 plus in enterprise value, we need to do something about it. And so, yes, it very much it causes an impact on value, both from the gain or loss of a customer and then the average sale impact, which I'm going to go through during the presentation. It's very humbling to look at, knowing how much it can positively impact an organization, or quite frankly, negatively impact it. So,
very interesting. All right, and you and I, when we always do interviews, we always veer off to a little bit fun stuff. So I see the Super Bowl in Glendale, Arizona, and that's February 12th. Are you going to be there? How far is that from where you are?
I'm finally going to go to a Super Bowl, and it'll probably be my last time because I will have no money after that. It's expensive to go to the Super Bowl. But yes, I'm going. It's here in town. It's during the Phoenix Open as well. So it's either a week that you want to be in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or you want to leave and not come back for a couple weeks.
That's right. Can you do both, the golf and the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, well we do. Yeah, we host an event for the Phoenix Open as well. It's crazy, and there's I think it's at least I think it's 500,000 people that show up during the week to that Phoenix Open. So
wow,
a lot of people.
Wow, and our webinar is the Thursday after that, so
I'll be primed and ready.
Yes, February 16th. All right, and I have to ask you before we go, what's all the behind you in all the packages and everything? I know you're always
it's
so what's all that?
One of my hobbies has been collecting cars and enjoying cars and being sure that I find the cars that aren't going to drop in value because it's a little interesting. But all of those parts behind me are for a Nissan Skyline. It's called an R32 Skyline. So I just got one in from London, and my OCD tells me that I need to replace the intercooler and the trim on the window and one of the headlights and whatever. So that's what all that stuff is.
Do you do that work yourself, or you have people who do that for you?
I do some of it, but I mostly have somebody help me with that. It's a lot of work.
There you go. There you go. All righty. So let me plug the webinar again. It's Thursday, February 16th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And the title is How to Enhance Your Customer Experience and the Value It Brings to Your Organization with Jake. And Jake, what's your contact information if people want to reach out to you?
Yep. Email is the letter J and then Johnson, so jjohnson@johnsonconsulting.com, or to call us at 480-556-8500.
Great. And to sign up for that webinar, you can go to AmericanFuneralDirector.com and click on the webinar tab and join the close to 100 that we already have for Jake because he's always so good. People know that.
I tell you what, if they don't sign up, they're going to lose money. That's how you're going to make more money. Going through well, customer service is very important. So, why wouldn't you listen to that? Yep.
Yep. All right, Jake, good seeing you. And we'll talk Friday, February 16th. And enjoy the Super Bowl. And the golf.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jake. Talk to you soon.
Take care, Stan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.